So this one, we have 3 buildings here that have about 450 employees, and then we have a little over 100 in the U.S. field selling products. They work out of their homes for that. And then we have an operation over in Ireland.
This is Howard Root, CEO of Minneapolis-based Vascular Solutions.
In the simplest terms, they took a product that made 0.1% of our sales, had 8 separate FDA 510K clearances that never harmed a single patient, and they put me through a 5-year criminal prosecution.
Howard Root's company produces medical devices, and in this case, a product called the Overzealous Short Kit. It was approved by the FDA to treat varicose veins, but this one little product produced a $25 million headache for Root. That's how much it cost him and his company to fight the U.S. Department of Justice's criminal charges. It began in 2014 when a disgruntled former employee filed a whistleblower's complaint with a U.S. attorney claiming Root coached sales staff to sell the Overzealous product for treatments that were not approved. Root says his company had all the FDA permission they needed to sell the product and instructed their staff to market it accordingly. Root was lucky. He and his company could afford to fight the government, but it took more than 100 lawyers in 14 different law firms and mountains of evidence. Did you bring this stack of paper into court with you?
We did, and the government objected to us showing it, so they blocked us.
Root alleges the government did anything it could to get a conviction, including coercing his employees to change their testimony to help the government's case.
They said even to our lawyers is, we've invested our blood, sweat, and tears in this. At this point, we need a body, which means they put so much into it, they need someone to plead guilty. And that was
Root and his company beat the government's criminal charges, but the government's loss won't stop prosecutors from aggressively seeking criminal charges in other cases. Last year, Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates issued the now infamous Yates memo, outlining the government's enforcement policy that some say will force companies to act as government investigators and turn over evidence on their own employees as part of a criminal probe. Former U.S. Attorney General Michael Mukasey sees the Howard Root story as a harbinger of a newly aggressive government prosecution strategy.
This was a criminal prosecution against a man and his company, and they wound up being acquitted despite the fact that it was clear the charge was virtually without basis, that witnesses were leaned on to conform their stories to the government's theory, all because apparently the prosecutors put a big premium on getting not only a company but also an individual.
Rather than rooting out wrongdoing, Mukasey says the Yates memo may have the opposite effect, pitting companies against their own employees and slowing criminal probes. But he says the DOJ will pursue more people criminally.
We could see a lot of such prosecutions, and in the past, the fact is that the prosecution of individuals has been much less successful than the prosecution of companies.
What warning do you have for other CEOs or anybody out there who owns a business?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing was we have to go on the offense. We can't sit here and get picked off one by one. We have to start talking about what the justice system is doing to us.
The Yates memo effect of increasing criminal charges of individuals through pressure to their companies is getting broad attention.
And simply an urge to have bodies swinging from lampposts isn't a very edifying way for the Justice Department to proceed.
I'm Amy Jacobson. For more stories, go to facesoflawsuitabuse.org.